Hi, and welcome to this conversation. Today, my guest is Dorthe Myndal Fogtmann from Denmark. Welcome, Dorthe.
Thank you, Cecilia.
We have spoke before, and we decided that even if we come from Sweden and Denmark, it's easier to in this conversation to speak English. So we do that.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm sorry. My Swedish is just not very brilliant.
But that's fine. That's fine with me. And we work in the same field with mental health. We're looking at the qualities that we are born with. Can we call that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The wisdom we always have access to.
Yeah. So that's the thing with the conversation on this recordings, that we want to point people back home to all the things that we already got inside. And we wanted to call this title Care Through Presence. So I know that you have been doing some retreats, don't you, Dorthe, about the presence, to be with someone, care for someone just by presence. So can you speak a little about that?
Yeah, sure. Actually, the retreats I've been having is more about your inner peace and your inner guidance. But I've also done some theme nights with other wonderful 3 Principles facilitators, and one of them was titled Caring Through Presence. And we looked more at how when you're in a position of being of service to someone else, whether it be in your private life or in your professional life, what is really helpful is when you're present with no agenda. When you're just present in the now with that person. And how helpful it is. What is really helpful is just being able to hold that space of love and seeing the person in front of you. No special techniques required, no special knowledge required. Whatever you need always shows up in that moment. And we feel it from one another, don't we? We feel it when the person is in front of us is truly present with us. And it seems soothing to the soul in and of itself without anything needing to be said and done.
It's like it's too simple. we complicate everything. We don't think that it's just to show up. You don't need any advice or anything like that. You just need to be present. But we do it all the time, all of us.
Yeah.
It's like we can't help it. We just do like this, do like that, and so we go in and out in that. But when we are in a lower state of mind, we want to give more advice. And when we are more aware, we can just see that I don't need to put in all these things, all this advice for that person. I can see that this person got a lot of wisdom by herself or him.
Yeah. And the idea of wanting to help or feeling a need to help is also something we make up.
Yeah, it is. So we do it because we feel like that we are kind, and we are. So that's nothing. We can't help it. We just do that. But sometimes it's better to take a step back.
Yeah. And it's so helpful to know and to see that there's nothing to fix. There's nothing wrong. Everything is the way it is, but it's not permanent. Everything changes all the time for all of us. And sometimes we get scared for ourselves or on other people's behalf because a problem looks really solid. But problems never are they? Life is always ever evolving. Things change, and sometimes we have an experience that scares us and that doesn't feel nice. And we see it as an indicator that there's something to fix, when really all it is we're having an experience. And if we can hold that space with someone having that experience in a place of knowing that nothing is wrong with them, we don't need to fix them. They are utterly whole and perfect. And we just have to sit there in love with them and not be frightened by their experience. And help, that way we help them not be frightened of their experience either. And we can sit there with our knowledge that this changes too. This is not forever. Our experience changes all the time, all on its own. And when we can be there for each other in that, with love, and just holding space while we experience what doesn't feel nice, in a trust in life that things always work out, always. And when we are on the other side of our worry and our frightening experience, we see clearly again, and we see how to best move forward for ourselves. And that happens for everyone. And when we know that it will happen for the person in front of us too, it changes.
It does, but there are moments, like I heard Bill Pettit says, when someone is doing like this with the head in the wall, you must tell them to please stop. Don't do that. That's not good for you to do that. So sometimes we need to just, if people behave, if people hurting someone or doing something, and they can't find that clear in the clear part in their mind, we have to make them stop so they can calm down and come back, and then they can see it for themselves. Oh my God, what have I done? But when they are up in it, maybe they can't stop. So if that happened, we must help the other person to do that. It's just it's not that everyone can do everything they want, and we must help each other when that happened.
Yeah. We always do what makes the best sense to us in the moment. And if we can see something better to do, we will. It's true for everybody I know, when they have done things that weren't nice or they see in hindsight was really bad, they also see that oftentimes they were so caught up in something that looked really real to them that they couldn't see another way out. And so there's also an innocence behind things. I don't know anybody that does things just to be cruel to themselves or to others. It happens so innocently because an experience looks really real to them. And I think that when we hold a loving space for someone, even if they're behaving in troublesome ways, wisdom guides us too, just like they guide them. And we know what to do in that moment. It's not always the same. It's not always the same thing that's helpful. But if we are present with that person in that loving space, wisdom guides us. And we can share that with the other person, because I think sometimes we fall into the trap of trying to figure it out with our intellect, how to best help people. But the truth of it is that we never know what someone else hears or what they need to hear to see something new that gives them the insight that there's a better way of doing this, of being this. And it's so helpful to know that we can trust the wisdom that guides us from the inside, or from the connection that we have with whatever you like to call it, nature, universal wisdom, God. People have different words, but we all know the feeling. I still haven't met anybody who doesn't know the feeling of knowing something that they just know for a fact in themselves, even if they can't prove it, or even they don't know where they have the knowledge from, but they just know. We have this inner knowing, and it makes sense to me because we're not living ourselves.
No.
I don't tell my lungs to breathe air in and out. I don't tell my heart to pump the blood out into my system. Like, it works. The system works all on its own. And I think it goes for the entirety of us. Like, we are being lived by a force that's greater than our intellect. And that force is there, present for us all the time to help guide us along the way. Just like it guides our physical system, it guides our mental system once we become more aware of it. But even when we're not aware of it, it still guides us. We're just not noticing it as much as we are when we become more aware of it.
No, we're not. It's just, it should be like that all the time, that we're breathing. But why do we have to think about that? But when we start to notice it, we can see that a lot of things we do, we just do, and we don't know why. It's something going through us that makes that. Now I'm take up this pen and I put this pen down, and I don't know how that happened. It just did. Something through me make that happen. But you have to be aware of that you can trust that you are guided by this. And I didn't know that for most of my life. I didn't know that, and I can see that a lot of people don't know that either. So that's why we try all the time to fix ourselves, to ask people to tell us how to live our life. And like you say, we can't, because it's so different. What brings you happy? What make you feel comfortable? And you gotta have those insights for yourself. I can't tell anyone to stop doing things or start doing things if they are not aware of it by themselves, that they are the one who needs to make this happen.
Yeah, and I think most of us recognize that what happens when we intellectually decide we want to do something. I might decide I want to exercise more, I want to lose weight, or I want to become more structured, whatever. People have all kinds of ideas about something they want to do. And I think most of us has tried this about just deciding it intellectually, and usually it just falls apart along the way. Like, it starts out great and then you don't continue doing it. But when you have an insight, it's different. Like, when you recognize something with your soul, you change your behavior instantly, and it's for good.
Yeah. Yeah, I tried to stop being depressed and anxious. I tried with all kinds of of medicine and alcohol and cigarettes and therapy, but it didn't stop. And I thought for a while, when I went to a therapist, oh no, I feel better. So it was this speaking that made me better, but then it came back. So I wasn't aware. I didn't have an insight of my own that I could trust my own myself, my own wisdom. I couldn't do that. So my pain have to show me the way. And when it went too painful, I just have that wake up call, a huge insight that told me, hello, hello, hello. And that made the shift.
Yeah.
And we got these insights all our lives.
And I think seeing that is just so really helpful when you want to be of service to someone else. That if we don't know how our system works, then it's more, I don't know, probably what we're brought up with everything being very intellectual and fact-based. And so it seems natural to to speak from our intellect to the person we're trying to be of services to intellect. And it might help shortly, but it's usually just temporary. Whereas when we can be present and be of service in the now, listening for the guidance of wisdom, there's a greater chance of us being served up something by wisdom to offer to the person in front of us that will help them have an insight.
Dorthe, when you have these retreats and you meet people from all over the world, doesn't you?
Yeah, I have coaching sessions with people from different parts of the world.
And maybe they don't understand your language, or maybe they don't understand English. Have you met people that you can point behind the language?
I'm I'm not completely sure if I'm seeing your way, but
I see.
I've
Well,
only had conversations in either English or Danish. I haven't had non-verbal conversation. Is that what you're?
no, because sometimes we point to a place inside of us that we can get by ourselves if we got the feeling when we listen and we get present with someone. You got a feeling of your own and you connect with your own self. But if you think that it's the language that matters,
I see. Yeah.
you miss the point, maybe, because we point behind the language.
Yeah.
To something you feel when you are present with
Yeah.
someone, when you can care about. I saw that when I was working at the hospital with delivering children. The mother couldn't speak while she had this what do you call it, compression, no, when you
contraction.
contraction, sorry, yeah. And then you can't speak, but I could guide without knowing the language, because we had people from all over the world and it wasn't time for speak. Maybe they wasn't good in English, could speak that either, so we had to meet each other behind in what we are talking about in present, to care with someone.
Yeah, I think that's the beauty of being in the present moment with no agenda of our own, because when we don't have an agenda, we don't have a set choice of words that we want to use. At least that's my experience. I don't think I ever use the same words or the same order of things or the same way of being present with people, because it just all comes down to listening. And as you're pointing to too, that's listening for the feeling. It's listening for what is present, what shows up in the moment. And I've been so humbled by experiencing what shows up in that space, and how things may show up that I share with the person in front of me that doesn't make sense to me, but shows out to be exactly what the other person needed to hear. And I think there's something wonderful about recognizing that it's not about us. We're just there to be, I don't know, can you call it a medium? We're just there to be a channel for wisdom to speak through. I don't know how to really put it talking about words. I don't know how to put it into words, because it's more of a feeling too.
It's what I want to point to.
Yeah.
That you connect with your own your own wisdom talks to you when you slow down to the speed of life, and then get present with yourself and with the others.
Yeah.
It's like you connect. You think that the other person is going to give you the answer how to do, but it's really that you need to be guided back home to yourself.
We kind of just step down into this same pool of love and wisdom together when we're present.
Yeah.
And from that, the magic arises.
Yeah, and that's a shift.
Yeah.
It's a totally shift, that you have to see that the answer is not outside. The answer is inside for you. For you to come home to what feels right for you, because that's different how we want to live our life.
And for me, it was really huge to realize that it's not on me. Like, I used to struggle a lot ever since my youth with not feeling good enough. No matter how many skills I acquired, I still thought it was just a matter of time before realizing that people would realize I wasn't good enough to hold whatever position I was in. And when I first had the first nudge to start sharing the principles and being of service through that, I had thinking about not being good enough to do it. And, who was I to step forward, because I definitely didn't know enough and hadn't had enough insights of my own or whatever, how that voice just can tell you all kinds of things that can look real. And for me, it was huge when I had the insight that it doesn't matter what I know or don't know, because it's really not me doing anything. The only thing I do is honoring the life that lives me. Like, all I can do is show up and let life work its magic through me. By going where life nudges me to go, by showing up in each moment and offering up whatever life shows up to offer up. And yeah, I can just sharing it, I can feel like my shoulders. Yeah, that was such a relief for me, that it's not about me.
And when we are doing these recordings, I never talk about what to say before. It just moves on the conversation, and somehow we always have something to talk about. It always comes through what to say. But when I sometimes listen after, I can feel, who was that talking like that?
Yeah.
It feels strange sometimes to hear what you are talking about, but it's something happens when we are sitting like this. You just talk, and I can also see that after time moves on, things open up for more and more and more when you meet and have this conversation with people so often. It opens up for more insights and see things differently than maybe for a while ago, and that's also beautiful, that we can open up for more all the time. It's like we when we listen to other and talk with others, we hear things, and things started to grow inside of us. And that's beautiful to see that it, when we look back, we can see that so many things, for me, that so many things had happened since I came across the understanding how we work. We make up so many illusions about who we are, and we walk around and think we are all that.
Yeah, and make up pictures of how we think things are supposed to be, or how they're supposed to unfold, what something is supposed to look like.
Yeah. So how do you feel that it had changed for you, Dorthe, since you came across the understanding?
Well, I think the biggest gift I got when I came across the principles was that I recognized in myself that what I really wanted was to be a mom. Like, that was what really rang true to me at that moment. And I think I'd just kind of been pushing it aside. Like, I'd felt it, but that's not what you do in our society. Like, you drop your kids off at daycare and you go to work. And being presented to this knowledge that, that when you know things, when you feel a true calling to do something, that you can trust it. And that even if it doesn't look right on a piece of paper where you list the positives and negatives, or when you do the math or whatever, it might not add up, but you can trust that when you float along with life, things tend to work themselves out in a perfect way that looks totally different than what I would have imagined. And this whole following that nudge has just set off a chain of events that I could have never thought up or predicted, or it's just felt like magic. Like, I was so fortunate that my husband and I came across the principles at the same time, and that made him open to, when I had a nudge for something, that we could trust it even if it didn't make sense. So that definitely probably made it easier on my part, that I didn't have to convince someone who still lived by fact sheets and and what we can see mathematically or whatever. So we took our daughter out of daycare, and I was pregnant with our youngest, and it was just really a gift for all of us, a gift that we didn't even know how big it was. Even our oldest boys had already started school by then, but we could have never foreseen the impact on them of me staying at home. Like, I think they loved it at least as much as the little ones did, to have mommy staying at home. And whenever because at the same time, almost a little shortly into being a stay-at-home mom, we decided to start our own company, which is kind of having a very rocky financial situation with having already only having one income and then having it be from your own business. And we have definitely had times with abundance and time with not so much abundance, and times when we didn't know how we would pay the next rent. But something always showed up. And I'm still amazed at how, when you just trust to go with life, solution shows up as well. We never came across something that we have had to solve, like with our intellect. We actually just have to be humble and know that we can't figure out the right solutions anyway, but we can trust life. And it doesn't mean not doing anything, but it means being open to doing what life presents for you. And that's truly felt like magic, like life was magic when we look back. Something always showed up. We had an insurance sum come out. We had some money in a holiday account we forgot. Just always something showed up, or a new client showed up out of the blue that was unexpected, and just, yeah, just different solutions showed up at different times when we didn't know how life would solve that one. And it's been the same with the journey into sharing the principles as a primary income. Like, it's really just something that has appeared on its own along the way. My husband started doing it, and I was at home with the kids, and he saw that we had different insights along the way, and he stumbled upon a workplace that he felt like needed some of what I had seen. So he just told them, oh, you know what, my wife explains this better, so I'll bring her the next time. And so we made arrangements for my mom to come and be with the kids, and I went with him. And so it just kind of slowly the ball started rolling like that. And then other moms started coming to me for guidance and advice, and because people notice when you stand calmly in life, if that makes sense. Like, people see you're calm, I think, and it makes you feel like a safe place to go, for that space we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
For holding a space of love for people to come into and be.
That's a very important thing. The safe place is it's really what the most people need. So you can just let everything out, what's bother you, so you can come to clear. But when you have these clients, are you having a few days retreats then?
No, my retreats, when I have them, are actually only just for private people. But I do have business intensives that are just half days, where we meet for breakfast in the morning, and then we go, if the weather allows. I oftentimes like to go outside into somewhere nature, depending on where I'm meeting with people. I think nature is really helpful for slowing down to the speed of light.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really matter, and it can look different, because again, like, whatever shows up. And it's so funny, because I've noticed this, that I can trust what life points me to before having these intensives, or even just before having coaching calls. Like, it will occur to me, oh, I should offer that we could do this, or maybe we should start. And it just always turns out to be perfect. But I didn't think it up. It was not an idea I made. I can't take the credit. But those are really, getting to emerge for several hours is really wonderful. But then I have the other, and sometimes I talk to someone on a coaching call, and when half an hour has passed, it just occurs to me, oh, I think this person's had heard everything they can have right now. Maybe we should just end it here, and then they can have the other half hour another time.
Yeah, sometimes it can be very short.
Yeah.
It's like an insight comes like this.
Yeah.
The insight that changed it for me, my big insights about being sick, or it was a split second. So it's not how long it takes. It's just when you see it, you see it. When you know it, you know it.
Yeah.
And you don't know when it comes. It can come wherever you are, with whoever you speak to. But it's so much easier to speak with someone when you feel that safe place.
Mm.
And if you are in a good place with yourself, it's easier to point someone to see for themselves, to get calm.
Yeah. And I've been struck by, like, this past year, that when we've had these, because we sometimes have these company workshops where we go out to a company for a full day. And like the past year, I've been getting the same feedback a lot. They say, you are so quiet. I can hear you better because you're so calm. I think they're used to, when people come to the workshop, to make a workshop, they're used to people being very colorful and entertaining and upbeat, maybe. And that's not me. I am very quiet. And they say it makes it easy to hear what you're saying. And sometimes when we round it up, someone will ask, I noticed that sometimes you just get quiet. You leave a pause. And I hadn't noticed that before they pointed it out. And now I've had it pointed out several times, and it made me recognize, yeah, I can see that I do that. And I know, looking back, I say, oh yeah, that's right. And it's because I look for life to guide me. Like, I get quiet because if I'm not quiet, I can't hear.
Yeah. But that's an insight you need to really know, because I can see that sometimes when I talk too fast, it's like I need to fill in something, fill in the space. And when I listen to you, who points me to the quiet, I can see that, it's very nice. It's very nice to get that moments when it's quiet.
Yeah. There's something really special about it, because the quiet is just filled with a wonderful feeling.
It really is.
And I find that even the clients I have, some of them, no, actually not that many, but a few of them find it strange with the quiet. It's a little scary to them. But they come to enjoy it. Once their thinking slows down, they come to really enjoy it. But I see what innocently happens, I think, when we have those busy minds and we're a little afraid of our experience, then it's not very nice to have a quiet moment.
No, I didn't like it at all in the beginning. Oh, I found it horrible in the beginning. That quiet. Oh, I needed to talk. I don't want to be with myself.
Yeah.
But after a while, I have felt that I can rest, and I just love it now. But when we sit like this in a recording, I can have those thoughts about, oh, you need to talk, you need to move on with something, and if I listen inside, I can see that I want to be quiet.
Yeah. And for me, the quiet is also connected to the unknown, which is something that very much to my surprise, I've come to love as well. I've really, yeah.
But if you make
I'm
up,
rather scared of the unknown. Like I would rather just have a plan for everything.
yeah, because if you make up terrible movies all the time in your head, you get scared about the unknown. Oh, I need to know how. And a lot of anxious people like to know, where is the bathroom, where is the shop, they need to have the security around them, so they know every day how it is. and it's terrified to go out in the unknown. But I have moved myself step by step, and if you know that you are guided, if you started to know that you are guided, it's so much easier to just follow the unknown.
And I just had the funniest insight one day, that the known is completely made up.
Yeah.
It's completely made up because we don't know anything
We
at all.
don't know, but we need to trust.
And it's so funny how and it's really also quite amazing that we have this 5D movie theater that can make up something that looks so real. That's rather amazing that we can be able to make up that we know.
Yeah.
It's so, the system works so perfectly that it just makes it looks like we know. But we never know what the next next moment holds. We might think we do, but we don't know.
We think that that is the easiest way to live life, to know every second, to have control. But
Yeah.
then we put ourselves in a box.
And
It's
it's
like
made up. Like,
yeah.
I've had the conversation sometimes about being self-employed. Like, it seems so uncertain to people. But I've often said, but being employed is just as uncertain. It might look more safe, but really it's not. You don't know when you'll be laid off. Don't know if the company you work for will go bankrupt. It's still so unknown, but we just make up that it's known and safe. But we don't know. And it's just so funny. I think it's so funny that we make up all these things.
It's like you need to go by the flow. You need to fly in the sky
Yeah.
like the bird, and land wherever it takes you. But
Yeah. And there are just so many more, I don't know. I guess probably it might just make it easier to see all the possibilities when you know that you don't know. At least that's a feeling I'm left with when I look back at my life, when I thought I knew. And now that I know that I don't know anything, it just, yeah. Seems like it frees up so much space for my consciousness and my attention that was kind of already used trying to plan and know things.
Mm.
And now all that space can just be left open to notice whatever arises.
I feel like I'm going in and out in that.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm just resting it, and then I feel, oh, it's so much easier and nicer to just let it be what it will be. But sometimes I need to know what's coming next.
Yeah.
But it's like go in and out, up and down, in and out.
Yeah.
And oh,
Yeah. And I'm not saying I don't plan or don't do things out of future, but I just only do it when it shows up, and I do it with the knowing that
yeah.
it can change along the way. No,
But
that's
it's like the journey. We have to fall into it more and more. And when you can rest in it, you don't have so much control. You don't need to control everything.
Yeah.
That's why I can see that so many things have happened since I came across the understanding, but it moves all the time. Life moves all the time, and I get more and more insights and can fall into it more and more.
And we keep experiencing our thinking, like it's just the way we work.
Yeah, it
And
is.
that's okay too.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
Yeah. I'm perfectly fine just hiding under a cover for a day because I feel low mooded. Because I know, no, it's just part of the experience. It's okay.
Mm.
What is really wonderful is knowing that I don't have to do anything to fix it.
No, no,
I know it's
no.
just this moment, and the next moment it'll look different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you meet clients in Denmark, you and your husband?
Yeah.
Yeah, and have this coaching sessions when you go out in the nature.
Yeah. I do
Yeah,
that. I also just have Zoom, lots of
yeah.
Zoom. I have
So,
the most conversations on Zoom because not everybody are situated close by where we're at.
no.
But we
So
are
we,
also, at the moment, we're hosting theme nights at the office, which is really wonderful every other week, just for a couple of hours on different subjects from a three principles perspective. And we have different people showing up, and it's just, I love it. It's such a wonderful atmosphere, and it's so wonderful to just be present with people and hanging out in a conversation about being in life this way and what that leads to.
mm. So life feels much more richer now when you have seen this understanding.
Yes, it just really feels magical because things shows up that I'd never imagined I would experience or be doing, or yeah, I would have never been able to make it up if I had to make a plan for it.
No, no.
Never. Like, and meeting you, like just wonderful people shows up all on their own. I didn't have to plan it or make it up. It just happens.
No, and I didn't know that I was supposed to have this channel on YouTube either.
Yeah.
I just follow it. I just feel for this conversations and connect with and that we can point in a different way, because we are our personality are very different, but we can point to the same same silent place. with a clear mind.
Yeah.
Okay, Dorthe. I think we ended here with, and I can write where they can contact you on YouTube.
Yeah, that's okay. And where they can contact you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wrote that too. Yeah. So
Yeah.
thank you very much for this conversation.
Yeah. Thank you for inviting me into your space.
Yeah, it was nice to speak to you.
Yeah, you too. I'm sure we'll meet again.
Yes, I think so too. Bye bye.
Bye.